Liverpool Football Club was founded on the 3rd of June, 1892. A man by the name of John Holding owned a bit of land in a little place called Anfield, where Everton had played for the previous 8 seasons. When Everton moved across Stanley Park to Goodison Park after disagreement with Holding, Holding simply founded his own club to play at Anfield. The club was originally called Everton Athletic, but it was switched to Liverpool FC after the English FA refused to accept this name. Liverpool's first official match was a 7-1 win over Rotherham United in 1892, and the entire Liverpool team was composed of Scottish players. This led to the side being nicknamed the Scotch Professors. Liverpool participated in the Lancashire League for the first season, which was a league composed of clubs in the north of England. They joined the Football League Second Division in 1893 and were promoted to the First Division for the first time in 1896. This was when Tom Watson took over as manager, and he led Liverpool to their maiden First Division titles in 1901 and 1906. In 1914, Liverpool made it to the first ever FA Cup final. However, it ended in defeat after a 1-0 loss to Burnley. They won the league back-to-back in 1922 and 1923, but then went into a 24-year title drought, which was eventually ended by manager George Kay, who delivered the Reds their 5th league title in 1947. However, things started to go downhill for Liverpool after another FA Cup final defeat in 1950 and relegation to the Second Division in 1954. The all-time low point perhaps came in 1959, when Liverpool crashed off the FA Cup to non-league Worcester City after a 2-1 defeat. This prompted Liverpool to bring in former Huddersfield Town boss Bill Shankly, who got to work quickly on the side. The Scotsman released 24 players and regularly met with Joe Fagan, Reuben Bennett, and Bob Paisley to discuss how the team could be transformed. They became known as the Boot Room, due to the fact that they held most of their meetings in a converted storage room at Anfield. This paid off, as Liverpool were promoted back to the First Division in 1962, and ended their 17-year First Division title drought 2 years later in 1964. They won their first ever FA Cup the following year in 1965, and won another First Division title in 1966. They also made it to the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup. However, they were defeated by Borussia Dortmund in the final. Liverpool claimed their first ever Continental Trophy in 1973, when they defeated West German side Borussia Mönchengladbach after an aggregate score of 3-2 over 2 legs. They won the league the same season, and the FA Cup a year later in 1974. Bill Shankly retired in 1975 and was replaced by Bob Paisley, who was his assistant as well as a member of the Boot Room. Shankly was in charge of Liverpool for a total of 15 years and won 9 honours in that time, including 3 First Division titles, 3 Charity Shields, 2 FA Cups, a Second Division title, and a UEFA Cup. Paisley secured his first bits of silverware in the form of a double in 1976, when he got his hands on both the League Cup as well as the UEFA Cup. 1977 saw Liverpool sign Kenny Dalglish, and a new dawn began at the club. Liverpool claimed the first ever European Cup in 1977 after defeating Borussia Mönchengladbach 3-1 in the final. 1978 saw Ian Callaghan depart the club with 19 years of service to his local side. He made 857 appearances for the Reds, which is the most out of any Liverpool player ever to this day. Callaghan was replaced by Graham Souness, who joined Liverpool from Middlesbrough for a fee of £350,000, a club record at the time. Liverpool would go on to win the league as well as the European Cup in 1978, the league and the Charity Shield in 1979-1980, and the European Cup and League Cup in 1981, which was the same season they signed Ian Rush, who would go on to become the club's all-time top goal scorer with 346 goals. Liverpool won the League Cup, and a Charity Shield in 1982, and a domestic double in the form of the League and a League Cup in 1983. By the time Bob Paisley had retired the same year, he had won 6 league titles, 6 Charity Shields, 3 European Cups, 3 League Cups, a UEFA Cup, and a UEFA Super Cup, a total of 20 trophies in just 9 seasons. No manager has ever won as many in such a short amount of time in English football. Paisley was replaced by Joe Fagan in 1983, and Liverpool became the first English side to win 3 trophies in a single season after they secured the League Cup, and the European Cup during Fagan's first season in charge of the club. Graham Souness departed Liverpool in 1984 after scoring 38 goals across 247 appearances in a 6-year career for the Reds. Souness signed with Serie A side Sampdoria for a fee of £650,000. In 1985, prior to kickoff in the European Cup final, Liverpool fans charged at a group of Juventus fans after collapsing a fence. This resulted in a wall collapsing, which killed 39 fans. The match took place against the wishes of both managers, and Juventus won 1-0. The tragedy became known as the Heysel Stadium disaster. As a result, all English clubs were banned from participating in European competition for 5 years, Liverpool banned for 10, and 14 Liverpool supporters were charged with involuntary manslaughter. Joe Fagan retired at the end of the 1985 season, winning 3 trophies in 2 seasons. Kenny Dalglish was announced as his replacement and would act as a player-manager. Dalglish won 4 trophies after his first season as player-manager, securing the League, the FA Cup, the Charity Shield, and the Football League Super Cup, which is a one-off competition for English clubs who had qualified for Europe, but were banned from participating in European competition due to the Heysel disaster. Dalglish followed this up with the league title in 1987, and Ian Rush departed Liverpool joined Juventus for a fee of £3.2 million, which was a British transfer fee record at the time. This was the same year Liverpool signed winger John Barnes from Watford for a fee of £900,000. Liverpool secured a domestic double in 1988 when they won the league as well as the Charity Shield. Ian Rush rejoined the club in the summer after just one season at Juventus for a fee of £2.7 million, which was a record transfer fee paid by an English club at the time. On the 15th of April, 1989, tragedy struck again for Liverpool. Liverpool were playing Nottingham Forest in an FA Cup quarter-final at Sheffield's Hillsborough Stadium, a neutral venue. Police officers ordered one of the gates of the grounds to be opened, which led to 9 of 4 Liverpool supporters being crushed to death on the day, and 3 more dying afterwards from injuries that were sustained during the disaster. 766 people were injured, and is the deadliest sporting disaster in British history. The South Yorkshire police fed the media false stories that blamed the disaster on Liverpool fans, when in reality, Liverpool fans were the victims. Many of these false stories were spread by the Sun newspaper, which is widely rejected throughout the city of Liverpool to this day. The fight for justice for these victims continued for decades after the disaster, and the message remains strong to this day. A report on the causes of the disaster led to legislation being passed that required top division teams in England to have all-seater stadiums. A memorial for the victims was installed outside of Anfield. Liverpool won a domestic double in 1989 after winning the FA Cup as well as the Charity Shield. They followed this up with a league title as well as an FA Cup title in 1990, which is the same year Ken Dalglish retired from playing but remained as the side's manager. The Scotsman made 515 appearances for the club, scoring 172 goals. 1990 also saw local talent Steve McManaman join the first team after 2 years at the academy. Dalglish left his role as manager in 1991 after originally joining Liverpool 14 years earlier as a player. Dalglish had won 7 league titles, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 8 Charity Shields, 3 European Cups, a European Super Cup, and a Football League Super Cup. Dalglish was replaced as manager by former Liverpool midfielder Graham Souness, who spent the last 5 years as a player manager for Rangers. Souness led Liverpool to glory in the 1992 FA Cup. However, 2 consecutive 6th place finishes in the league saw him dismissed from his managerial duties in 1994. The year before, 1993, saw Robbie Fowler join the first team after 9 years in the youth academy. Souness was replaced by former Liverpool centre-back Roy Evans as manager, who was able to lead the side to a League Cup title in 1995. In 1996, Michael Owen joined the first team after spending 5 years in the youth setup, and Jamie Carragher also made the step up after 9 years in the youth setup. Ian Rush left the club for good the same year, after 660 appearances, 346 goals, and 15 major honours. In 1997, John Barnes left Liverpool for Newcastle on a free transfer, who were being managed by Ken Dalglish at the time. Barnes made 314 appearances for Liverpool and scored 84 goals over a 10-year span. Roy Evans was replaced by Gerard Houllier as manager after only being able to manage 2 top 3 finishers in the league. A young lad by the name of Steven Gerrard also made his first team debut for the Reds the same year after spending 9 years in youth academy. Steve McManaman joined Real Madrid on a free transfer in 1999 after making 272 appearances and scoring 46 goals for the club over a 9-year span. Houllier delivered a treble after his second full season in charge in 2001 after securing the FA Cup, League Cup, and UEFA Cup. Later that year, Robbie Fowler departed the club after scoring 120 goals across 236 appearances in an 8-year stint in Anfield. Michael Owen capped off a successful 2001 by becoming the first and only Liverpool player to date to win the Ballon d'Or. Owen scored 24 goals and registered 7 assists across 24 appearances, and was pivotal to Liverpool's successes that year. Liverpool finished runners-up to Arsenal in the Premier League title race in 2002 and won the League Cup in 2003. Houllier was replaced by former Valencia boss Rafael Benitez in 2004. Michael Owen joined Real Madrid for a fee of £8 million the same year after making 216 appearances and scoring 118 goals over an 8-year span. Liverpool signed midfielder Xabi Alonso from Real Sociedad the same year for a fee of £10.7 million. Liverpool finished 5th in the league in 2005 and came back from a 3-goal deficit at halftime to beat heavyweight favourites AC Milan in the Champions League final. Liverpool's goals were scored by Steven Gerrard, Vladimir Smicer, and Xabi Alonso. They all came within a 6-minute span of each other in the second half, and Liverpool eventually won on penalties after heroic antics from goalkeeper Jerzy Dudek. The night was eventually known as a Miracle of Istanbul and is considered by many to be the greatest comeback in football history. Robbie Fowler rejoined Liverpool in 2006 on a free transfer after stints at both Leeds United and Manchester City. Liverpool won another trophy in dramatic fashion the same year when they claimed the 2006 FA Cup title. Steven Gerrard scored a brace, with one of the goals being an injury time equaliser to bring the game into extra time. Liverpool eventually defeated opponents West Ham on penalties and claimed their 7th FA Cup title. In 2007, American businessmen George Gillett and Tom Hicks became Liverpool's new owners. At this time, Liverpool were £218 million in debt. Liverpool made it to the Champions League final the same year, where they once again faced AC Milan. However, Milan found themselves on the better side of a 2-1 scoreline this time around. Liverpool finished runners-up to Manchester United in the Premier League in 2009, with a then record total of 86 points. Xabi Alonso joined Real Madrid for a fee of £30 million the same year after 143 appearances for Liverpool over a 5-year span. Benitez ended his 6-year tenure at the club after a 7th-place finish in 2010 and was replaced by former Fulham boss Roy Hodgson. Liverpool found themselves on the verge of bankruptcy at the start of the 2010-2011 season and the High Court granted permission for the club to be sold against the wishes of then-owners Hicks and Gillett. American businessman John W. Henry's Fenway Sports Group bought the club and officially began ownership in October of 2010. Roy Hodgson departed the club in January of 2011, and Kenny Dalglish returned to the managerial position to replace him. Jordan Henderson signed with Liverpool in June 2011 for an undisclosed fee believed to have been between £16 and £20 million. Liverpool won their record 8th League Cup in 2012, but their worst league finish in 18 years in the form of an 8th place finish in the Premier League led to the sacking of Dalglish. He was replaced by former Swansea City boss Brendan Rodgers. Jamie Carragher drew his 17-year career at the club to a close in 2013 after making 508 appearances and winning 10 major honours. Liverpool finished second in the Premier League in 2014 and ended a 4-year absence from the Champions League. They also scored 101 league goals that season, which was the highest tally since the club bagged 106 back in the 1895-96 season. Steven Gerrard departed Liverpool after the 2014-15 season after making 504 appearances, scoring 120 goals, and winning 9 major honours over a 17-year span. Midfielder Jordan Henderson was named as the side's new captain. Roberto Firmino signed with Liverpool in the summer of 2015 from Bundesliga side TSG Hoffenheim for a fee of £29 million. This was the club's last signing in the Brendan Rodgers era, as a Northern Irishman was relieved of his duties in October of 2015 after failing to improve results coming off the back of a 6th place finish the year before. He was replaced by former Dortmund boss Jurgen Klopp, who was on a sabbatical at the time he was approached by Liverpool. Klopp led Liverpool to both the League Cup and Europa League final in his first season in charge, however they failed to win either. Liverpool signed winger Sadio Mane in 2016 from Southampton for a fee of £34 million. Liverpool finished 4th in the Premier League after the 2016-17 season and made their return to Champions League football once again. In the summer of 2017, Liverpool signed winger Mohamed Salah from AS Roma for a club record fee of £36.5 million. He would go on to score 44 goals in all competitions during his first season in red, claiming the Premier League Golden Boot and bringing the Reds to the first Champions League final in 11 years, where Salah sustained an injury in the first half and the Reds were defeated by Real Madrid 3-1. In the summer of 2018, Liverpool sold Felipe Coutinho to FC Barcelona for a fee of £142 million. This was immediately invested back into the squad, with Alisson Becker becoming the most expensive goalkeeper of all time, joining the Reds from AS Roma for £66.6 million in the summer window, and centre back Virgil van Dijk becoming the most expensive defender of all time after joining the January transfer window for a fee of £75 million. Liverpool finished the 2018-19 Premier League season with 97 points, setting the record for the most points won by the club in a single season, as well as the most points won by a club that hasn't won the title, as they finished runners-up to Manchester City in the Premier League. Salah won his second consecutive Golden Boot after finishing the league campaign with 22 goals. The Reds once again found themselves in the final of the Champions League after coming back from 3-0 down to defeat Barcelona in the semi-finals, and they claimed their first Champions League title in 14 years after defeating Spurs 2-0 in the final, with goals courtesy of Mohamed Salah and Divock Origi. Liverpool went on to win both the UEFA Super Cup for the 4th time in their history, as well as a Club World Cup for the first time in their history to finish off an incredibly successful 2019. The Reds ended their 30-year title drought the next year in 2020 after winning their Premier League title with a total of 99 points. The season was halted for 3 months due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the trophy was lifted behind closed doors. Liverpool secured a domestic double in 2022 after winning the League Cup as well as the FA Cup, and once again were defeated in the Champions League final by Real Madrid and finished runners-up to Manchester City in the Premier League by a single point. Mohamed Salah claimed his 3rd Premier League Golden Boot after bagging 23 goals throughout the campaign. Sadio Mane departed the club at the end of the 2021-22 season after scoring 120 goals across 269 games during his 6-year Liverpool career. His partnership with both Mohamed Salah and Roberto Firmino defined an era at Liverpool and was one of the most prolific front threes in world football. Liverpool signed striker Darwin Núñez from Benfica for a total of £84 million, which set a new record transfer fee for the club. Liverpool won the Charity Shield the same year after defeating Manchester City 3-1, however dropped to the Champions League for the first time in 7 years after placing 5th in the Premier League after the 2022-23 season. Jordan Henderson joined Saudi Pro League side Al Ettifaq in the summer for a fee of £11 million. He was a captain of the club for 8 years, had made 492 appearances, won 8 trophies, and was named England Footballer of the Year in 2020. Virgil van Dijk was named as his replacement captain. Jurgen Klopp announced that he would be leaving Liverpool after a 9-year tenure in January 2024. Liverpool would go on to win the League Cup that year and make it back into the Champions League after finishing 3rd. Klopp's replacement was named as former Feyenoord boss Arne Slot. Liverpool made it to the final of the League Cup during Slot's first season in charge, however they were defeated by Newcastle United 2-1. Liverpool clinched their 2nd ever Premier League title on the 27th of April 2025 after defeating Spurs 5-1 at Anfield. In doing so, they leveled Manchester United's league title tally of 20, making them the joint record holders with their rivals. Arne Slot became the 5th ever manager to win the Premier League in his first season, as well as the first Dutch manager to do so. Virgil van Dijk became the first ever Dutch captain to win the Premier League. In May of 2025, it was announced that right back Trent Alexander-Arnold will be joining Real Madrid on a free transfer at the start of the 2025-26 season. A graduate of the Liverpool Academy, he made 353 appearances, scored 23 goals, and registered 92 assists since making his debut for the first team in 2016 at the age of 18. Liverpool are a special club with a storied history. I've done my best to cover that storied history in just 15 minutes, and I hope I've done an alright job in doing so. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you've gotten this far.